Coco Chanel famously said, "Fashion is architecture. It's a matter of proportions." Today we will explore the connection between fashion, architecture and design with our very own Joyce Van Waeleghem. Joyce is a chief designer of Uniland flooring, and if there's anyone in the world who can tell us how a floor gets designs, what the major fashion trends look like and how do they impact our floors, it's definitely her. Thank you very much, Joyce, for taking some time to talk to us. Now, one of the elements that has always intrigued me is where do you get the inspiration to make a new floor? What trends are you looking at?
Yeah, so there are many external influences that actually inspire us. And we are looking for a spark. We are looking for an idea, and this could come from our everyday life. This could come from architecture, design, fashion even. But it's that spark for an idea that's the start of further analysis, of research, of a further brainstorm. But mostly we start with the general, more socio-economical trends. And of course, the one that we cannot deny today is our COVID-19 pandemic, which is causing a great pause in all of our lives, but also how the creative world is getting their inspiration. Nobody can leave the country, nobody can leave their home even. So we need to look online, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, webinars, podcasts, to find any new information. But I must admit, we also do go to local design musea, to art exhibitions and so forth, to just be inspired. And to develop a floor that will look trendy today, but will be a classic tomorrow. Yeah. And we also still have materials, shapes, colors that we need to look at. And the more traditional industries we then go to is the building industry for materials. But color and pattern very often comes from fashion. But what we sometimes also look at is a little bit less obvious. For example, the food technology or even space industry can be our inspiration. Yeah. Of course, many elements, but we try to make it simple and we try to summarize them in three main key pillars, where nature is at the center. And then it's surrounded by soft light and dark colors to make a beautiful palette. And we always translate it in a luxurious version and in a playful version. Yeah. And like that, we can have a lot of inspiration. Yeah.
And this major trend of nature within the different color palettes, do you see that also coming back in fashion, in the new designs, if there are any new designs at all during these days?
Well, so like I said, color really is what comes from fashion, but it's also driven by the pigment industry, by the pigment suppliers. And they define each year, they define a color of the year. And today, it's not so much a natural inspiration, but more a nice contrasting color. This year, the color of the year is classic blue, which is that Yves Klein blue. But as you can see also on the runway, they combine it with that more traditional warm cognac brown to create a warm and cozy atmosphere. But on the other hand, if you would combine it with white, with gray, it would look very high design. Yeah, next to that, definitely also patterns come from fashion, and there the inspiration of nature. So for example, fauna and flora referrals in patterns or all the hype. We see a lot of floral, lacy dresses that used in interior and textiles create a very romantic style. We see the use of pelt or feather imitations both in garments but also in wallpaper, in shades, in lampshades and so forth. So really color and pattern comes from fashion and then goes into the interior. Yeah.
So the way of broadcasting and marketing has changed a bit. Has their perception of fashion or what fashion needs to deliver, has it also been impacted by lockdowns and the COVID-19 situation?
Yeah. I really think, and I've heard this through many trend watchers, that the main fashion brands are also thinking of slowing down. The speed of launching new products, of having new collections every season, even faster than every season, it's really being questioned. Because the fashion industry is one of the highest polluting industries as well. Concepts like Black Friday, for example, where fashion brands, also other product brands, they are really pushing the consumer to mindlessly buy things that they actually do not need. They're really going in a counter movement. They are really saying, okay, we want people to mindfully buy the products, and because of that we see a shift in the objects that people buy. We see that they buy more classic items, more items that are more qualitative, that are more built to last. And actually that's also jumping over in the interior world. People want a nice blank canvas because they do not know what the future will bring, so they choose safer, and then in the future they will be able to embellish, to be able to decorate with whatever trend or whatever hype at that time is valid.
Yeah, and do you feel that the trends are different? Is there a perception that something might be fashionable in one part of the world but is completely outdated in another part, or is there more or less a level playing field?
We were at the point where the trends are global. For sure, on color, that's the case. Fashion drives there, and whatever colors we've seen coming up on the runways are then transferred throughout the design world. But it's very often in materials that a more regional focus is put. Certain textiles, certain resources, wood species that are only available in certain regions are then also put in the collections, even in our collection. In Australia and in Asia, there are certain wood species that are only in that collection. Also, sometimes what happens is that a local trend, driven by an influencer. To give you an example, the Japanese Marie Kondo, she is now helping homes all over the world, or households all over the world, to declutter their house. And she became really a global trend. And she is actually also driving both fashion and interior styles. For example, Uniqlo really embodies the philosophy, the style, the simplistic, good material that is being used. And in interior, you have the Japandi style, which is a little bit of a mix between a Japanese, Scandinavian, minimalistic, Zen, pure, using natural materials, but not using any excess.
Yeah. Now, of course, there's a lot of information on this trend wall, a lot of, I would say, hints and trends coming towards you. How do you see the light in between the forest? I mean, there is so much. How do you know, okay, these are the trends that we need to look for and we need to incorporate in our flooring collection?
Yeah, of course, it starts with gathering all these elements. That's the essence of the job that I do, is always being online, always looking at whatever is out there.
That's great. Thank you very much, Joyce, for your time.
No problem.
I'm really excited to know that Unilin is really ahead of the pack when it concerns watching trends, watching those influences, getting the key components out of it and translating that into durable, fashionable, but also, of course, long-standing classics within our flooring collection. So thank you very much for listening, and talk to you later. Bye.